got involved in coaching a little bit by chance, coming towards maybe not so much the back end of my career, but kind of starting to think about what after playing. I was at Huddersfield and probably thought I had a good few years left in me at the time, but I started getting involved and doing my coaching badges and helping out a little bit in the development centre at Huddersfield Town. I kind of got into that a little bit from just going and watching my current oldest lad, he was obviously a young one, training in the development centre there, and the coach at the time, Mick Reed, saying, "Oh, why don't you come and help out a little bit, as a player?" And I didn't really have the confidence at the time to kind of go and just get involved, but I dipped my toe in and just loved it. And then from that point onwards, I was just going down on an evening time a few days a week and just helping out with the development centres to begin with. I think my early stage enjoyment was just based around I'm 100 mile an hour, so just being involved in being on the training pitch and helping kids to improve the skill set was the initial one. I mean, as the years have gone on for me, my incentives become different based around things that I'm doing now and my progression through my coaching badges as well. But in the early days, it was just that little bit of a buzz of seeing a kid that you're trying to teach to receive a ball comfortably actually being able to do it. It's hard. I mean, there's so many you could speak about. A lot of the top coaches from coaches that are in the Premier League and Bundesliga and Serie A and places like that. But I think if I was thinking about it personally, the biggest role models that have affected my life over the years would be Cesc Pod, who was at Leeds United when I was a young kid coming through the ranks and kind of in and out of Leeds. Also Andy Sasimo, can't pronounce it, Sasimovic. Andy Sass, who again I had some contact time with. But I think probably my youth team coaches through my development at Everton in the early days were very influential in relation to me actually getting coached. I mean, I had a good grassroots manager at the time that coached our Bradford schoolboys team as well, and again that was probably my first contact time with a coach. So I've had a lot of people that have been involved in my personal development that I would look at and say, Ray Hall, who was a youth development officer at Everton, but also coached us, and Neil Dewsnip, who more recently I've worked with the England under-18 squad last season. But again, he was one of our coaches at Everton. Alec Gibson, who's currently at Wigan. So these guys were really influential in me kind of getting coached. So they'd probably be the biggest role models, I would say. I think it's always difficult. I mean, there's obviously always been a lot of speculation about opportunity, down to ethnicity and all the rest of it, whether you got fair opportunity and stuff. And I think there has been a lot of that in previous years. I think that the swing over the last 4 or 5 years has been much better, but I still think it needs to improve. I think some of the biggest barriers for me, I've personally found, is going into environments where maybe people have felt threatened by me because I was an ex-pro, and that's something that I've always been really mindful of and conscious that people have thought, well, he's an ex-player, he either knows it all or thinks he knows it all, or he's been there and maybe seen that as a threat, and that's something that I've kind of been conscious of. I think they have. I think it's much better. And again, like I said before, I think it still needs to improve even further. I mean, I benefited from going on the PME scheme with the Premier League on the ECAS program, but didn't get an opportunity to finish that program for being out of the country in China. But I benefited from that. But I do think that more can be done as well to give opportunity. Keep trying. I think that ultimately, I know I've spoke to a lot of coaches, and I know there's been a lot of stigma over the years based around, is a black or an ethnic or a female coach only getting an opportunity or a chance because of this scheme. And I know a lot of coaches I've spoke to don't want to be judged on that. They want to be judged on being the best person for the job or for the role. So I think when you've got that situation, back yourself as a coach, I know a lot of coaches that I've spoke to and dealt with spend a lot of time on personal development to enhance the skill set and to be the best they can be, and then it's just backing yourself, getting on the grass and proving to people as well. As a coach, I always want to improve. I always want to be the best I can be. I'm a workaholic, so I work hard to improve my skill set and gain experiences across the board. So long term, what I want to do, I run my own academy at the moment, which has been going great. I work at Oldham at the minute, but which is at Cat 3, taking the youth team. Previous to that, obviously I was taking the youth team at Burnley for 2 and a bit years, and did the same for a number of years at Sheffield Wednesday, as well as working across all the age groups in the academy. So my long-term goal was to self-develop my skill set to effectively know every aspect of youth and player development right the way through, and be hopefully a master of development, really, rather than kind of in the performance game. But mindset's always change as well, so I think long term I'll probably assess at the end of this season in relation to where I want to go with the next kind of pathway of my career. Greatest achievement as a coach, I think my coaching achievement probably strands off in a couple of directions. I think when you look at kind of end goals, I've had some really significant achievements personally while I've been coaching. I think setting my own academy up and setting that up as a development program for grassroots kids to progress to and potentially realise their dream, that's been successful so far. With the number of kids we've helped transition from grassroots football into academy football. I think developing young players into first team footballers again is a massive achievement for me personally. I've been directly involved in a number of players at Sheffield Wednesday with Connor Kirby, Alex Hunt, Jack Lee, Fraser Preston, all making debuts at Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship, and then more recently the likes of Dwight McNeil at Burnley making his Premier League debut and now being a mainstay in Burnley's team. So again, from a development point of view, that's a massive achievement for me personally, as well as collectively for the clubs. But I think just achieving my level of qualification, being able to back myself to be what I feel to be a good coach, but somebody that other people will ring up and ask for advice and tips and help, is probably, from my own personal point of view, is a real proud kind of achievement that people, even at Cat 3s, Cat 2s, Cat 1s and professional clubs will ring me for my advice on certain aspects of the game, which is it's been great. But I think the biggest achievement really is obviously having the opportunity to work with some of the best young players in the world. Last year I was fortunate to work as an out-possession coach with the England under-18s with Neil Dewsnip and Lee Skersley. So again, that I've represented my country at youth level. To coach for my country at youth level is probably one of the proudest moments, and be involved with what we've currently got, some of the best young players in the world, the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi and Danny Loader and Morgan Gibbs-White, who obviously playing in the Premier League at the moment, has been a massive achievement. I think I wouldn't say it's probably the best moment, but I think the most significant moment of my coaching kind of pathway so far, and something that I will never ever forget, and that's been very influential in my mindset of developing myself, was when I was going through my coaching, the start of my coaching pathway, and I was having a conversation with Andy Barlow, and Andy said to me, everybody wants to be an academy coach or a first team coach, and he said, but you need to learn your trade. And he said, if you want to really see what proper coaching is, he said, go and get yourself involved with a grassroots club and go and coach at grassroots level. He said, because they're the best coaches in the sense of having to think on your feet, adapt. He said, it's great when you're in the academy and you've got a guaranteed 20 players and you've got 20 bibs and 40 balls and a guaranteed area, Cat 1 indoor facility, perfect climate, and the rest of it. He said, go and try grassroots coaching. And it opened my eyes, and I went to Howden Clough, and I planned a session, and the session plan all made out. I counted for a number of players that we were going to take, under 14 squad it was at the time, numbers we were going to have, equipment we'd have, weather conditions, balls, bibs, cones, turned up, it was tipping down with rain, half the kids didn't turn up, some of the equipment wasn't there, we had 3 balls, and the session I'd planned was flawed, and I just sat there, and I remember thinking, and Andy Barlow had said to me, plan A, plan B, plan C, and I had my plan A, which was the perfect plan, but I didn't have my plan B and I didn't have my plan C, and it just opened my eyes and made me realise that developing players and coaching at whatever level it may be, it's the hardest level for me was working with grassroots kids when the numbers were disjointed and you didn't have necessarily the equipment and tools for what you wanted to present. So being prepared to adapt and adjust and go again was vital. Biggest advice would be learn the game, broaden your knowledge as much as you can. So I know a lot of people say be a student of the game, be a student of whatever area you want to master. So if it's under 10s, under 11s football, research it, look into it, go and get as much exposure at as many levels as you can to understand the age. If you want to work across every age group, understand things like maturation and growth and all these areas. Whatever you want to do in coaching, go and gather the knowledge, embrace it, and just commit to your own development as much as you can. Keep learning.